So we've heard you speak about this, and we thought it would be a good place to begin, which is what's the difference between aging and getting old?
All
From
right,
getting old.
aging and getting old. Aging is just a process that comes with living because the body's resilient, so it is taking levels of stress just for everyday living, working with energies. So this is what we mean by aging on the path. Sort of like the longer something is in this realm, the more it takes on dealing with energies and the different stresses it takes on. But getting old is considered a disease because it took on too much stress that the body cannot handle and it gets overloaded. And if it stays in that condition, and then pretty soon it'll get sick, disease, and then pretty soon what we call death. So we call getting old as a disease, but since the body by its nature regenerates and we're staying on a certain path, aging is just something that comes along dealing with how long something been on this realm, dealing with these energies as it keep turning over. Because you are meant to, you're not going to live a life secluded in a room somewhere. You're going to be out using these life experiences. So the body will be taking on different energies constantly as it keeps on moving along.
You state that the physical body can achieve immortality.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, it's been talked about for a long time, and even in yoga, it's already there, which yoga became popular. But what I have to point to them is there for a reason when you really start taking it seriously. It is dealing with self care. Self care, and the average human being hasn't been doing that because we've been going outside of ourselves trying to reach another standard. But when we understand and we start putting value back into ourselves, and earlier I was telling people about how most of the body regenerates itself. We got to understand that. So we can start living in that process and allowing the body to keep doing that, regenerating. It's actually easy. Everybody just have to get into that same mode of thought of what we call preventive medicine. Now, we got preventable diseases, that means they didn't have to happen. That was caused through a lifestyle. So if you get on this other one, you'll never have to see that disease. Because a lot of these modern diseases we have today are diseases of modern civilization. So once we get on the immortality and we got the knowledge we equip with now, it should be a given. It's easy.
So, in your personal journey, as you went from um, the diet that you were following and towards more and more food freedom, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually to total food freedom,
Mm-hmm.
when did this realization hit you that the body can constantly regenerate itself?
Well, actually, before I even started the journey, I heard bits and pieces of it. See, in the human collective memory, everybody's kind of been exposed to it on how the body, because we all usually say, oh, yeah, the body can heal itself. It's just that powerful. People say it, but to make a reality is a whole nother ball game because a lot of people don't heal themselves. But every once in a while, we got that person who do have a chronic disease that do heal themselves. So it did hit me in the beginning, but as I got more and more into really transforming my life, it became more of a reality. That's why it becomes self-realization. It's no longer just talk up in the head. I actually seen that I could transform myself because I did. And as I kept on going, if I got the power to do that, because one thing you do have control over in life is yourself. And that's what it boils down to. So once I understand that I got the memo, I'm making this happen, I transformed myself, and I came to these levels where the average human being is not even there. Of course, I'm a candidate for pulling this off for physical immortality. I'll be around for a while.
So you say that food freedom is a prerequisite,
It's a
but
prerequisite.
but it's not the only component.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it's not guaranteed
yeah.
because we did have, a person who was famous who passed away that was a breatharian. So that'll bring up questions because keep in mind that's what humans get caught at all the time. I remember I was with this group where they said veganism was the diet of God, but now when you look at the whole community, they still suffering with just the same things that everybody else is doing. It was just prolonged a little bit. And then somebody who was famous dealing with live and raw foods, real famous, passed away, and he thought that was the regenerative diet. So again, for us to say as soon as you get to breatharianism, that's it. That's not it. The total package is, first of all, you got to break a fear-based frequency. This is mostly everybody, so you can start trusting yourself again. So it is a thought process. So you got fear, not eating, not drinking, and also no sex. See, there is a thing dealing with brahmacharya that they use here in India, where you can actually take your sexual fluids, because for your body to make sexual fluids, first of all, use the best cells of your body in order to create that fluid, because it thinks it's going to create another human being. So you start taking all of that, those best cells of your body, and let them reabsorb itself back into the blood. And the blood draws light to it. So you, a person who usually practices the brahmacharya, or as they say, celibacy in the West, when you actually practice that and know what it's for, it actually start replenishing the organs, replenishing the blood. It makes you have a higher energy, because that's what it's all dealing with, energy flow. Now, of course, you're living a meditative lifestyle where you know how to channel energy or to get blocked in certain places. That's why people get horny, have that horny feeling, but it's mostly blocked in the hip area. So energy loves to move, so they think the way to make it move is through sex or through masturbation. But when you learn how to channel that energy, bringing it up and down the spine, nourishing the brain, because this is all about brain health. This is what we're talking about physical immortality. And the longer you stay on the path, the more your energy will start circulating and growing into that energy. So this is all part of the package, without a shadow of a doubt.
Can you say more about the fear-based frequency and the mental blocks, the mental and emotional blocks that we...
Oh, big time. See, one fear-based frequency is sort of like, let's just make it basic. When I became a vegan, and back then, over 20 years ago, the memo was already out to humanity that this is how they've been taught and trained, that the only way you can get your protein is from meat. Do I get that right? That's what it was about. So there was a fear. Am I going the right way? Do I need something else? So that fear was hitting me. But the longer I stayed on that path to seeing that that was not true, that was a belief system, that fear dropped. But for a minute when the fear was there, it also stagnated my whole health, because there was places in the body I didn't feel good even though I left meat alone. I'm just being truthful with it. But it was due to that fear-based blockage. But the more that fear-based blockage moved, then it brought more energy to the body, and I got comfortable with that new mode of thought. So then as I started advancing my diet changes, of course we said you need this for this and this for this, and I start living without that. Once the fear started dropping, that which is an energy within itself, then it brought more light to the body. It gave you more energy, and my body conformed to it. So it's sort of like being on the breatharian journeys. If you go too fast, leaving alone food, you'll lose too much weight too fast, because there's fear still in you. And this is a biocomputer we have. And if the body is not comfortable, it's not going to carry out your wishes. This is your subconscious mind. So that's why you're taking your time until that new program of confidence get into you. And then when your body get comfortable at certain levels and know it can do it, everything's clear. That's what we mean by the fear-based frequency. So right now, the fear-based frequency of living forever, of course, most humanity is laughing at you. So they're putting it on you too, just like they laughed about food freedom, changing diets, everything else. So they can laugh, but you got so strong in your confidence, you broke that fear, and you're going to keep living, and you're comfortable the way you live, and no matter what nobody else says. Oh man, this is good.
So this fear-based frequency actually affects you at a cellular level.
At a cellular level.
Yeah.
There's even a speaker named Bruce Lipton, who used to be in the scientific arena, still is a scientist. But he's doing a whole lot of motivational speaking about how your thoughts affect the cells of your body. And he just happened to come out with it with that level. But that is the new thing in science right now. We got you are what you eat, but you are what you think. And this is what the ball game we're in now. So even when we're in a ball game now about manifestation, manifesting your reality, what is that about? And they tell you that 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious mind. Now, if that's the truth, that means that shows you how much power your thoughts have. Your thoughts is powerful. They could be a weapon or it could be your liberation. So this is what we're talking about. This is 100% mental. It's dealing with a mental transformation or the way or your perception and how you're looking at yourself and how you're looking at life.
It's also that the 100% mental is one thing that we've heard you say repeatedly. And the other thing that I've heard you say is that that the physical, that matter or the physical body,
right,
is where you want to bring that consciousness into.
Right.
You want to bring the mental into. So how does that affect you at a cellular level?
Oh, well, keep in your mind, and I'm glad you brought that up. Now, the cells of the body, and I'm going to use different terms, I'll talk about the same thing. The cells of the body ultimately feed off of energy. Now, let me repeat. They feed off the sunlight. They feed off the atmosphere. That's its ultimate level. Now, when you allow it to function at other levels, when you compromise it, you're out of certain vibration. That's what we mean. And that's how you're functioning. That's how the organism is functioning. So when we talk about spirituality, the whole idea about it is the expansion of consciousness. And the scientific arena is even in this word called consciousness now. That's what they're using. But to expand your consciousness, what we're saying on the Breatharian journey, you're using a vehicle of meditation to bring yourself back into your body instead of getting kicked out. See, this all goes hand in hand with physical immortality. You actually got evicted out of your body. You don't need to get evicted out of your body. The energy don't need to leave that's fueling you. And the energy is consciousness. So you're bringing yourself back into your body. When your legs start hurting and paining, that means that there's less energy flowing through that area. The root causes of all sicknesses and diseases is less energy flow in that area of the body. Now, we're in the age of energy medicine where people are putting this to the test all over the planet right now. It's going to get even bigger. That people are healing themselves through energy work of a lifestyle. Getting that energy back up and running, getting it flowing. We heard about chakras, we heard about nadis, we heard about breath work and stuff like this. But really making it a reality to heal yourself with these things can take place if a person stays dedicated and take it seriously. But it's just not those things by themselves. It's the thought process with it. And also, last but not least, the food you're putting into your body causes major blockages. Overeating, eating heavy meals, eating certain foods that has no energy content into it whatsoever causes sickness and disease. Processed foods, we might as well hit it right on the head. Those is killing people. So when you start grabbing this full lifestyle, lightening up, transforming yourself, you will be able to heal yourself. And see, healing yourself is a superpower. This is why we talk about physical immortality. I know how to heal myself. So what's supposed to make me sick and overtake me? And the sickness 9 times out of 10 come from the person's habits. You know what made you sick. This is what we're talking about. So you're staying away from it. And you live in another reality, another life, where you are better taking care of yourself at a higher level. Oh man, this is good.
So most of us have been told certain things about what we need for good health. And so as you say, the fear kicks in when we start doing something different. And so how do you deal with that fear? Like, how do you replace that fear with a knowing or with an understanding? Like, how does that process occur actually?
Oh, well, see, this is what it deals with. See, first you have the theoretical part of knowledge where somebody's talking it. And if you reside with it, it starts out as a belief system for everybody. But what makes a practitioner different than somebody who believes it, they start practicing it. So that's what starts getting that fear broken. It's one thing to have it in your head, but it's just going to stay a belief. And this is what we mean by self-realization. It don't matter what I say and what I'm doing and how I'm living. A person has to start practicing it slowly and have these little small victories where they start manifesting that type of knowledge. Let's take fasting. Fasting is all around the planet right now, dealing on different levels of knowledge. But the average person who never fasted before isn't going to be that successful if they do a long extended fast. We don't expect that. This is what we're talking about. But if they start out slowly, doing what you can handle, you might have to do half a day. Then you do a full day. Over a period of time, you do more because we are adaptive creatures of habit. You created a new habit. That's what breaks the fear. You take it and having small victories that you can do it. And once you know you can do it, that's no problem. No problem. Oh my gosh. This is what we're talking about. Well, dealing with the practicalities, as people say, you're visiting family and you're dealing with, the different habits of what y'all used to do and stuff like this. That's one thing. But see, it boiled down. This is what happened to me. When I made changes in my life, I made changes because there was a problem. If it wasn't no problem, I wouldn't need to make no changes. That's why when you're dealing with this knowledge, everybody's dealing with health on the planet. I don't care if you're rich or poor, what color you are, what language you speak. Everybody's dealing with health, and your body's talking to you when you start violating rules of physics, because all of our bodies deal with physics. So it's going to tell you need to make some changes. Now, so when I got to the point where my body needed to make some changes so I could feel better, that is what overrides family, friends, or whatever, because they're not living in this body. You're the one making yourself feel better. So usually when people use that as an excuse about the habits that's pulling them from other people, it's because, well, for number one, you probably didn't feel sick enough to want to make changes, so you're falling for everything. But when a person is at their deathbed, just to bring that up, I wasn't at my deathbed, but I will tell you this. They ain't listening to nobody else. They want to get healthy and want to get well. So when you take it with that type of attitude, the influence of people really shouldn't be a problem like that. If you do it, it's because you want to do it. And that's okay too, without no judgment. But if you still want to transform yourself to feel better and have a better life, you're not listening to nobody no way. That's just an excuse we use because you still want to indulge in those other things. Oh, man.
Do you think death is unnatural? Because all of nature dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything around us is, whether it's trees or animals, everything is mortal.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
How are we different?
Well, just like in the scriptures, they're talking about a death need to come about, but they're not talking about a physical death. They're talking about you being born again, born with a new thought, an idea, which will bring forth a new life. So we're not talking about that. Now, since we talked about our body regenerating itself, it becomes brand new. Now, you got a new body every 7 years, 7 to 10 years. That's a scientific fact. So if you get that, once you live a lifestyle where you'll get the best body in the next 7 to 10 years. So you're going to have a different body regardless in 7 to 10 years. But once you get a better body in 7 to 10 years, if you make some changes, because it's going to come regardless. This is what we're saying. So this is what they mean by being born again. Renewing yourself. This is what the ancients was talking about. So we're talking about a renewal. Now, when we look at preventable diseases, let's go on to that. Why would they give it that word preventable? That's unnatural. That's what they're saying. Being healthy is natural. This is what we're talking about. Now, what makes us different than other animals is due to our thought process. We have a very extreme thinking. We can figure out the laws of physics that seem invisible. That's why we make all of this technology now and all these things across the world. But there's a energy of physics, the physical body, which is a biocomputer. A biomachine is under the laws of physics also. So when you take a deep look at all the spiritual practices on a planet, they're really talking about a science. This isn't no belief system or far-fetched. You are using you real hot inside. You're using that to burn off different energies, to burn off growth, to open up energy blockages so there could be a better flow of energy. Just like a house. If something comes to hamper the line that's bringing in energy in the house, the light will start flicking on and off or it'll go out. Same with the human body. This is what we're talking about. See, they get external things off of the energy of how the energy is flowing in the body. So now, when you said death is not natural, Well, just like how they say in yoga, you will be able to pick up supernatural powers. So we put super on the front of it. Now, due to where we at, the average human being needs to eat. The average human being does not talk about physical modality, so they might as well just start seeing where they're going to die at. So when we're talking on these levels and really going for it, this is supernatural compared to what everybody else is talking about. We're taking it to another, we're refining these energies. Everybody's connected to it, but we are going to what? Bring in more of those subtle forces. Make the body stronger to have a stronger energy. Yes, you sleep less, you have a better clarity of thought, you got a lot more energy than the average person, you're healthier than the average person, hands down on every level.
I'm curious, you used the words felt body. And I'm curious what that actually feels like.
Oh, the feeling body.
The feeling body, that's right.
Going into a feeling state.
That's right.
Oh, now we use that word. Now, we get that from spirituality because they say you're going to develop a sixth sense. Because most people, or all people, as you experience in this realm, you're using your five senses. You're using your five senses as bringing in information, and your brain is interpreting it, and that's how you come up with what you're coming up with. But in spirituality, they say you need to develop a sixth sense. Now, what that means is, and why is that there, is because your physical eyes that you are dependent on to look at things, it only sees a small portion of what's going on in the universe. It only sees a certain frequency. You only hear a certain frequency. But there's other frequencies out here that you cannot hear, nor can you not see, and they're more so than the five senses that you're using. So if you want to upgrade your vehicle, you need to develop this feeling state where you have opened up the body up to a point, because the body's still connected to the mind, where you will bring in more information than the average person through energy. This is why there's energy cultivation. Now, I had to explain to this to regress a little bit. The faster the energy dealing with technology, the more something can do. That's why let's take the cell phone, for instance. We got 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G right now. And what that's saying is the faster each one of them goes, the more you'll be able to do. So it's the same with the physical body. The faster the energy goes in the body, the more you can do to somebody who's on 3G, somebody who's on 2G. So going back to this, you have increased the energy flow in your body. So you're bringing in more information. So when we talk about a feeling state, you got to the point where you can feel things differently, and you got more information because you're feeling yourself through the universe. And your perception has changed of how you look at that stuff. Like when I be at certain places is beautiful, and I know it's beautiful, but there be somebody there still complaining and stuff because they just see the negativity. That's a thought process again. So your mind opened up. You understand where you at, where you live, you're self-sustaining. So this feeling state, once you understand you can feel like that, this is where we're getting at. This is why we use that word. Once you understand you can feel a certain way, even if you was to come out of that state and make the body more gross again, you could get back to there because you did it once before. If a person never been there before, they don't know where they can go. Some people don't transform themselves because they don't think they can. They don't know what to look forward to. They need you to guide them along because they've never been there. That's what a guide is all about. Whether it's dealing with alcohol, drugs, diet changes, they've never been there before. They don't know what it feels like. And then they got to learn when they do get into that state, how to function again. You get an alcoholic who drunk for years. He don't know how to live a day being sober. Even though he did it once before, he got to relearn, or he's going to go back to that last energy. But once he mastered it and know what it feels like, and it feels good, whew, I'm so glad I'm off that last energy. So this is what we talk about, the feeling state. I know what it feels like for the body to be food-free, toxic-free, and stuff like that. So being here is comfortable. That's the feeling state. You know what it feels like. So the average person is still struggling to feel that way, or they'll never feel that way due to doubt and unbelief. That's all that's holding you back. The light would work with anybody. Oh man.
What about um, um, specific spiritual traditions have talked about physical immortality?
Mm-hmm.
What about modern research or contemporary sciences? Do they also address this question?
Oh, big time. Matter of fact, let me catch you up to date. Up in Silicon Valley, in the United States of America, they got laboratories with the best equipment on the planet. Now, where is they getting this money from? From the elites of the planet. That means if you are kicking billions and millions of dollars, they're funding it. For what? Physical immortality. It ain't got to be out on 6 o'clock news. They don't care about the average person. But if you go look it up, they got research labs dealing with physical immortality. That's where a lot of money is going. The best minds on the planet is working on it. So we're not talking far-fetched. Educated people is working on it. That's why I'm educated. Somebody who's ignorant and don't know their resources or their power is doing something else with their life. So yeah, this is already funded, already up and running. Oh man, this is good, ain't it? Wow. Wow. And as we continue, keep up the good work and keep going into your own self-realization. Take your time, don't overdo it, because you got all day long because you're an immortal. That's one of the biggest secrets on the planet. Peace. Well, how's your relationship with time when your mind starts getting into an immortal thought process? Well, big time it changes. Because somebody asked me one day, what did you do yesterday? And I had to sit there and think, because you didn't forget what you did yesterday. It didn't matter. Yesterday is gone. See, the more you get back into your physical body lives in the moment. And when you're on a Breatharian immortal journey, you are in your physical body more than the average person, so you're in the now moment more. Once the past leaves, it's over with. It ain't here no more. But you enjoyed that moment. So I do live this isn't boasting or nothing. When I'm into an experience, I know I'm having a full of this experience. A lot of people are not even there. Their mind is somewhere else. Their body's there. But their mind is thinking about the past, or they're worried about the future, so they're not enjoying that full moment. When you are on these levels, you're enjoying that full moment. You're there. That's all that exists. So when somebody asks that, that's what starts changing. And you really got the quality. I had a friend traveling with me one time, and I was trying to tell him that. Enjoy the moment. We're having a time of our life. And you'd be surprised how they wasn't fully in the moment, so they wasn't really enjoying themselves. Till after it was over. After it was over and they thought about everything that happened, I should have took better advantage of that. He was right. But they couldn't because the mind wasn't trained on that yet. Take advantage of the moment because this is all that exists. This is what it starts training you for. Now that will become easy once you start working on your body at a higher quality. I remember Sadhguru said something. He was talking about food freedom. He says the people who does that spend a lot of time and energy regulating their body. You understand? And it's true. I'm constantly know how I feel. I'm in tune with it all the time. But the average person is not. So that you're constantly in a now moment. That's how time changes. And you got the energy for the future. When you want to pull something off, you know you're going to do it because you got the energy to do it. See, a whole lot of people will be successful on the planet if they had the energy. But they ain't got the energy. That's why they're not successful. That's something, ain't it? Wow. Don't have the energy to pull it off. The energy of the resources. Now you might say, well, where are the resources at? Well, when you're healthy, health brings forth opportunity. Opportunity is always there because you can pull it off. When you're not healthy, you give up opportunities. You ain't got enough strength. You got to wait. You put things off. you procrastinate. And it gets worse and worse as you age or get older, because you're losing your energy. You get kicked out of your body. So your prospects go down. But when you're in the body in a moment, you're immortal, your prospects goes up. Wow. This is powerful, ain't it? But don't they say that saying, if only if I knew what I knew now back when I was 20. That's why they say those sayings. But now, since your body, you got the same energy you did when you was 20 and you know what you know now, you're a whole nother machine. Oh man, this is good. It gets better and better.
Yes.
Beautifully good, actually.
And make it nice and stronger. Shoot it into the video. All of that energy. As we heal the earth. Coming from Auroville, India. Make it even stronger. Nice, powerful vibration. Now make it even stronger. We've been working on our energies day by day. Now we're sharing it with the world. Feel that energetic flow. About 15 more seconds. Just let it flow. Nice and strong. All this love, joy, peace, as we share our energy with the world. Now we can rub our hands together, give ourselves a nice energy shout.